Which brings us to today's topic. Today we're going to be talking about Vanderpump Rules.
What's that?
It's like some show about like some rich assholes in like LA or something that run a restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah. It's on Bravo and Peacock. Which brings us to today's episode. It's an all Bravo episode. We're going to be getting deep into Traders. We're going to be getting into Vanderpump Rules,
Hey.
Southern Charm.
hey, hold on. Let me
Yep.
stop you there. I just want to say bravo because it's about damn time.
I know. Somebody had to talk about it. Somebody had to talk about Tom Sandoval's infidelity.
Wait, who's that?
Tom Sandoval is one of the guys at the restaurant who ended up making a deal and a partnership with his best friend, whose also name I think is Tom. They made a restaurant called Tom Tom with Lisa Vanderpump.
Do you know about this? I've seen every season of Love is Blind.
Love is Blind is pretty good. I've seen a few of those.
It's pretty good to watch and giggle too.
Yeah, well, exactly. I like all those kind of shows like Temptation Island, Love is Blind. What else?
What's your favorite season of Love is Blind? And
Oh, I haven't
Who's your-
watched it like that.
how many seasons have you seen? Could we honestly, seriously do a girlfriend content episode?
I'd be totally down for that, but I would have to like rewatch everything. Honestly, though,
I think we should do it right now and just wing it.
dude, I don't even have enough like on me to
All you
like
know
even
is
think about
Vanderpump
that.
right now. Is that what you're
All I
saying?
can think of is Vanderpump. Like there's like 2 or 3 seasons of Southern Charm I got to catch up on. There's a few shows.
See, like, I don't know even what that is, so like, you can explain it to me, and I think I would think it's funny that you're watching that show. We could just do that over and over again.
I think it's funny too. I think Southern Charm is this. It's like basically Vanderpump Rules, but like in a Southern setting. So it's like about these like rich assholes who start like a restaurant in like the South or Florida or some shit.
All about restaurants.
Sort of, but it's like it's more so about like these people's lives that like run like in like waiter and like hosts and shit and like you know what I mean like run the operations and like the day to day of like the restaurant. It's like all about them and like how they end up becoming like rich assholes themselves and how they end up like venturing out and like doing like all these like crazy things. And I'm not saying rich asshole to denigrate any of them. That's just kind of what they are. They're a bunch of rich assholes. I love it.
So this restaurant, right? Is it a mansion?
Not really. Well, Southern Charm is more of like a mansion, I feel like, but I haven't like watched it yet. I haven't really watched it at all, honestly. Southern accents, I'm not too into sometimes.
I think my female human, uh, she showed me a show like this, and it was like them working in a mansion, and it's all like younger model type people who are also rich, working for people who are like 10 times richer than them, probably
Yeah, that
probably 100
that's the
times richer than
gist.
them.
That's the gist of it, honestly. That's kind of like that's both shows.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. There was one that she started watching for a little bit longer, or maybe like that's the one I kind of zoned in on a little bit. And I think it was about real estate agents, and it's all these like models who sell $1 million real estate, and it really pisses me off
And it really, why does it piss you off?
because it's just I get so it's not even them. I get so upset sometimes when I see how much money things cost, and that's my
It's
problem.
not even them. How are they? Do they like know what they're talking about, or are they like just a couple of influencers selling houses? They're like, oh my god, the sconces in this place are to die for. Have you seen these sconces? Yeah, sconces. They're like lights.
That is.
I know interior design. Anyways, but yeah, so they're like these influences.
Yeah, they're just doing their job, honestly. It's just about their drama in between. They're just doing their jobs.
That's like all these shows. They're just doing their jobs, but about the drama in between.
Yep.
But then the drama ends up fucking their jobs up too.
Well, yeah. Hey, that's just like real jobs.
That's true. Holy shit!
It's
I
just
didn't
them. I'm
think
telling you,
about
it's just
that.
them working their jobs and they're models and they have a lot of money. And so
That's
that in that
funny.
kind of setting.
That's funny. I never thought about it like that because yeah, that's just every organization is just literally just dealing with the stupid drama at the organization and then trying not to bring it home, but then because of the stupid shit that happens, you end up bringing stupid shit home.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's what I like a lot about like Vanderpump watching it. Any organization, you start to understand like everybody's human in it. It doesn't matter where they are, who they are, everybody's human and it's interesting to see the human dynamics play out, especially when the whole world is watching. That's crazy because when people think that nobody's watching, crazy shit happens. But when people think the world is watching, crazy shit still pops off. I don't know. It's
I don't know.
you know what I love is I will say I've watched a lot of Vanderpump Rules, and I do like that show genuinely to the point that I'm like invested sort of in the characters.
Yeah, you see yourself in them, right? Is that how you feel?
Uh, I would not say that. There's maybe a couple of characters where I'm like, okay, this is a little too relatable.
Whoa.
But I also feel that when I watch like BoJack Horseman, like to me, BoJack Horseman's one of the most relatable shows I've ever seen, and it's one of the most fucked up shows I've ever seen. But I think the fucked upness comes with the relatability. With Vanderpump, I feel like for some people, maybe the fucked upness of it comes with the relatability.
Okay.
The fuckness, yeah. What I think some of the fuckness comes with the relatability, but I think a lot of the fuckness comes from like shit that's easily solvable or comes from like issues where all they had to do was like spend like a week in group therapy on like TV and half of this shit could get like figured out. But they kind of do. They chill with Andy Cohen at the end of every season and do like a reunion, which are probably the most entertaining episodes. And they talk about all the fuck shit that happens the entire season. And they end up just ganging up on one of them and picking them out. It's usually either Tom Sandoval or like whoever like that season just majorly fucked up.
Yeah.
Jax used to be the guy who's now on another show called The Valley, which is pretty good. But fucking Tom Sandoval lately has gotten a lot of shit. So Tom Sandoval ends up dating this chick and then breaks up with her for this chick he's cheating on her with named Ariana, who joins the group and starts on, being on this show. And then 10 years later, he basically does the exact same thing and cheats on her with her best friend, Ariana, with Ariana's best friend, and ends up like splintering the group even more and ends up pushing everybody like away again. And it's literally like Ariana's best friend, not only that, but like some chick who's like 10 years younger than like both of them, who's like so much like more like just immature and just like such like an airhead. And this chick is dating this other dude named James Kennedy, who's in the group, who's literally one of the most fiery. He's the one that everybody usually gangs up on, to be honest with you, because he's so fucking fiery. And honestly, he's my favorite character of the whole show because he's so fucking funny. He's I hate to he this isn't what makes him funny, but this is just an interesting part of his personality. But he's been an alcoholic for a lot of the show, and he ends up like getting into these crazy fucking stupid situations by like just being an asshole to like everybody on the show. But like his girlfriend ends up cheating on him, who he was gonna marry. She was like his fiance, not only his girlfriend.
Not the other guy who's cheating, right? Not the other. Is this the same
Not
guy who's cheating? This is
no
another.
no. This is a random dude named James Kennedy who's like a DJ on there who
Yeah.
only is on the show because he's like in the friend group and like became like friends with everybody and started dating the chick who's also the one who cheated on him for Tom Sandoval, who's like 10, 15 years older than her. So he he fucking basically like breaks his heart and makes James Kennedy, like, who's been like an asshole for like the past like 10 seasons, right? He makes James Kennedy still look like an asshole, but like a little bit more of like like a vulnerable asshole. So like, I mean, that's what I think. I mean, people might have like their opinions on him. I think he's really shown a lot of change and a lot of like effort in his life in like the last season, which I feel like I didn't pay too much attention to the last season because it was just spinning wheels at this point. But I feel like the one thing that I really appreciated was like seeing James Kennedy always like fuck up when he tries to change. He finally like feels like he's actually changed and doesn't like isn't gonna like, I mean, maybe I I haven't seen the show like that, so like, I mean, I guess I'm pretty deep given all this,
Well,
but
hey, we're all gonna find out. You know,
yeah,
we're all gonna
yeah.
find out.
But
It's gonna be
yeah, you
great.
can see I apparently I kind of love Vanderpump Rules out of all the Bravo shows. That and Traitors. But like honestly, like Vanderpump Rules has so much weird shit going on that like not weird shit, but just like human dynamic shit that I'm just like so fascinated by it because
Yeah.
even the most minute things, I'm just like, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be something later on. It's like they call it's a trope. They call that like Chekhov's gun, where something in the first act, like a gun that's just mentioned or talked.
When stuff happens in the show that like whether it's controversial or like make you go like, oh shit, you're ever like, oh, this is bullshit. Then maybe it makes you mad.
Oh yeah. Well, you mean like scripted? But yeah, honestly, I I like it. I like a lot of those
Another one.
shows. The shows.
Yeah. Well, not maybe not
Honestly,
those like brands
I,
specifically, but
I
shows
was gonna
that.
say I could really just spend this whole episode mostly talking about Vanderpump because there's so much like wild shit that's happened. That's the one that I probably watch the most and am probably the most invested in out of all those shows.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because that one show has gotten me like into like all these other like TV shows that like I never thought that I would be into because I used to not like reality shows a lot. And I still don't
I
necessarily
still
like
don't.
reality shows. What is it?
I still don't. I hate watch.
Well, but that's sort of me too. I don't necessarily hate watch, but I almost watch it ironically, I guess would be the way to put it. Because like I don't know. I don't watch this for any of the drama or anything like that. I guess you could say I'm slightly invested in the drama because it's interesting. But what I really watch all this for is like the human dynamic and like seeing like different people going through like all these weird situations that, I mean, maybe it's scripted because a lot of this shit they could kind of figure out if they just had like some really honest conversations with each other, but that's just also like how the world is. And like, you know what I mean? People, if they just sat down and had like a good conversation, they'd be able to figure out so much. You know what I mean? Just about even just their dynamic in like a group or within a restaurant or within anything. Any kind of like institution or organization.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought of at least one question in relation to this whole thing that I thought would be a pretty good question, but I don't know if we should get to it now or later. The question is, and I guess it would be good to just let you know and then just get to this after and just keep talking about it and then just get to this question after we talk about it, but or at least in the middle. Is are programs like this leading or a sign of the downfall of humanity? And I know that's like been a question that's been thrown around about like reality TV since it like started and even like Jerry Springer and all that, but I don't know. Something to keep thinking about with all this. Or is it a symptom of it?
Well, you think it could be like it's like we're regurgitating something that was already regurgitated. and then just like over and over again until we're just watching ourselves live our normal lives.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it's almost like what we're doing right now, like where we're like the idea of like recording yourself all the time and like podcasts and like everything. Like you kind of you've watched, we've watched just in general, everybody like in the last 10 to 15 years, like things like in culture get so altered where we've come to like a really crazy place in society. Like to me, almost 2020, like so everything since 2020 has been so accelerated, but like it's happened so fast, but at the same time it's all happened so like so much has happened that it almost feels like that as a society not much has changed, but a lot has changed at the same time. And I feel like a lot of these shows are leading to like are kind of a sign of the change, but also a symptom of it. Like you end up with all these fucked up reality shows because people are trying to like escape their own lives by watching other people's crazy fucked up lives or drama because they're enamored by their own, but they don't even want to pick it apart. Because I think like people like therapy, but they don't like therapy for themselves. They like seeing other people go through their own shit and fight their own battles so that maybe they can figure something out in their own life, but maybe not. Maybe they just want to, maybe they just want to be entertained for a little bit, but I don't know. But that was a question that I was going to ask you. Honestly, let me ask it later. But
I think you just did ask me that question.
yeah, so do you, you got an answer for it or do you want to answer it later?
I don't have an answer for it, and I probably won't now or then.
I probably won't now or then. I mean, I'm not saying bad things about these shows. Like I clearly love Vanderpump Rules to the point where I'm willing to watch it multiple times. Like I'll watch reruns if I see them. Like I went on a road trip to upstate and I basically Vanderpump Rules was like playing on Bravo in a marathon up to the new season at the time, and I was just like, all right, I'll watch this. Fucking, there's nothing else on. Like I chilled on the couch for like and I don't know. Especially the reunion episodes. I like those especially. Those are like my favorite out of all of them because I love seeing them all interact in a room, coming to terms with everything that's like happened because they all know each other's secrets from that season because they all have seen the show.
I mean, it is a fun experiment to like let people lie to each other and just do awful things or just say crazy things. Yeah, a lot of the lying though, and then just have them all have to sit down and be like, "Well, here's what you did," because every time they're like, "Yeah, I couldn't help it." Like they know they're being filmed, so obviously a lot of it's fake. I think I accept that a lot when I watch this. I say that often. Ah, it's so fake. Ah, it's so fake. But it is interesting. I don't think these people would lie to each other so much if it was truly just an experiment or just capturing what's going on. Because like you know you're being filmed, and nobody was. People aren't really like I don't care. I'm just being the real me. I'm gonna lie all the time. Like, that's just insane. I get them being assholes, but like to just make themselves seem like just awful.
The way I look at it, I think some of it's obviously like scripted. I think some of it's definitely like played up a little bit. I think it's
Yeah,
probably there's pro I think probably what happens is the producers probably talk to each other and the stars probably hear a lot of like rumors, so they think that stuff that's actually going on is probably going on, like a lot of like cheating rumors that are on the show and stuff like that. A lot of the stars will mention like later on they'll be like, "Oh, talk around the town," or "Everybody was talking about this. How did I have no idea?" And it's almost like yeah, they probably heard like the producers and people talking about it were like
Instigating.
exactly, and they were either like, oh, this is maybe played up for the show, or maybe this is a real thing that they're trying to keep from me to play up for the show. Yeah, like you said, instigating.
One day there's going to be a reality show, and I hope it's more like Big Brother. And
You know what's funny
I
is I
hope that
never watched Big Brother.
it's good. I hope I just would like it if it's more in this scenario. Maybe in a reunion scenario would also work, but we're so far down the line in like civil and moral decline
Mm-hmm.
that producers are able to like legally, because they all like signed off on this, legally able to just be like, well, let's literally throw a gun into this room and see what happens.
Let's throw a gun into this room. That sounds like some really dystopic like show.
That's what I'm saying. But like, think about it, like contrast to the very realistic scenario of just eight model idiots really, really just being awful to each other. And we're
Mm-hmm.
the the unspoken thing is that they are all in this horrible dystopia where they can be on a TV show. They signed up for this TV show. Also, I want to say they signed something saying that there's like there's real danger, and if you die, that's not on them.
That's crazy. Imagine taking a mental patient and putting him in the mix too. That would just make the show just
Mm-hmm.
like wild. Yeah,
Now,
I had this.
there is a show that's kind of like this, but it's not like this.
Which oh,
But
that almost sounds like Traitors.
I would want the show to be like just like Big Brother or like Vanderpump Rules the reunion or Love Is Blind the reunion, but way more toxic.
So
And then they just go, let's throw a very small handgun in there, a very easy to use handgun in
let's throw a very small handgun, very easy. That's like going back to Chekhov's gun. Um, let me. So that's a great idea, a fantastic idea,
there.
actually.
I know. I also want to say I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that.
that would be a great idea. That would make great television.
I'm just saying that would be very interesting.
Um, honestly, that would be a crazy show. I have this idea. I have this idea for a show. I don't know if it's called. I don't know if this is what Big Brother is, but like you lock like a group of people into this one room for like a week or two, right? It's just one room and they're forced to all sleep together and like just like the Cube. Have you ever seen the movie The Cube?
No,
Have you ever heard of it?
I think so.
So it was like the precursor to Saw, where all these people were locked in this one room that was like a cube, but it was like a death trap. Where if they tried to get out, or any way they tried to get out, it was like a death trap. But I'm saying take the death trap part out of it and just make it so like all these strangers are just locked in this room, and they just decide to keep them in there with enough food and supplies to keep them in there for like exactly 1 or 2 weeks and see how relationships build, how rivalries form for like the rations of the food, have people like fight over like maybe somebody wants their supply of food, have like all these seemingly normal people just like locked in a room together and just like forced to deal with each other's issues and each other's everything like baser instincts on a level where they are confronted with it every moment of every day. It's a show that I didn't get really into until recently, but I want to go back and watch it again. Uh, my family's always been into it. Survivor. I never like got too deep into Survivor, but like I would watch it like around my family, so it would be on.
Yeah, I've seen Survivor before. I think I've seen it. I think there's like There's like a past people on it. There's people from previous seasons. They have
Yep.
like special versions like that. But I guess a lot of reality shows do that.
There were a lot of like copycat shows, and there were a lot of interesting like scenario shows where they like put different people like into like different crazy situations, and they tried to if I'm not mistaken, they tried to mimic like the success of Survivor, but like with very mixed, crazy results. Like around the same time that Hurricane Katrina happened, there were these two shows that I watched that were trying to be like a new Survivor. That looking back on it now, it's kind of crazy that these were shows. But I'll give you the premise of both of them. So the premise of both these shows, one was it was about a group of people living in like this abandoned building trying to mimic the idea of like the end of the world and trying to survive like in a like a survivalist setting in like an industrial area that's like completely abandoned. And so they set these people up to like be hit with like crazy like weather conditions and like all kinds of like crazy shit. But like also it's just set in like an abandoned building, so like all these like different like people that are like supposedly like survivors of the end of the world get like placed in these abandoned buildings and have to like fight each other and like rationalize, from what I remember. And they would like hire these like marauder actors who would just come in and like loot shit and just like attack these like random survivors and people and like take all their shit. It was great. It was basically like if they made like a Survivor, but they centered it on like a Fallout kind of scenario or like an apocalyptic scenario.
Oh.
So that's the yeah, it's crazy show. They made this like right after Hurricane Katrina. The other show I wanted to talk about that I watched around this time that I looking back on, I actually like did like a like I read a lot kind of into this show like a couple of years ago because I was like was that a real show or did I just like dream that up? But it is a real show. It's this show called I actually don't even remember what it was called, but the idea was about they dumped like this like group of like 20 or 30 kids into this small town that was meant to mimic like a western society, like almost like an 1800s like western town. Like there's a saloon, there's a bank, there's like all these like 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 things to like actually like fill roles and jobs in the town. And they dump these like group of kids, and these group of kids are basically supposed to survive in this town with no adults in this like western town. And they end up like going like Lord of the Flies like on each other and like doing like all this like wild shit and like
That's real.
causing yeah, this is a real reality show that happened. I want to find out what it was called because it was so crazy. I want to find out what both these are called, but I wanted to talk about it because they're just such like these are crazy like scenarios for reality shows. I feel like there should be more of these shows now because like they're more so now like I think relevant. Maybe less so the kid one, but like the apocalyptic like survival scenario, that's like fucking crazy. That's a great idea for a show, and there's so many abandoned things like across the world that we could just dump a person on like this abandoned industrial area, block it off for a few weeks and have them survive.
These 8 models have to survive in Antarctica with no shelter.
Can they do it? Will they freeze? Most likely on day one. Watch the pilot episode. That's all we could film.
Now here we go. Some connective tissue. What if there's like a show, right? And it's about them being dropped in Antarctica. They do give them some supplies, so they don't literally die right away. But they're all just trying to survive. Like, but it turns like Lord of the Flies quickly because it's horrible. And then one of them finds the hole into inner Earth,
Hey,
and then
I
the
found
camera
that show.
crews. camera crew is like, oh my god, what the fuck is this? They call up, call the station. Like, what do we do? Like, do we let him go in there? Like, yeah, this I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's about this now. Just start following a guy down into inner Earth while the rest of the people are just being filmed dying in the snow, and just hopefully they find the cave that leads to inner Earth. And it's just like, and then the reality show is who who finds the hole to inner Earth.
Yeah.
You
I've
drop them
got
in
a
Antarctica, an equal distance from where they need to go,
I've
and it's
got
like
kind
you need
of
to find survival.
mm, I feel like your idea also kind of gave me an idea too, kind of. Uh we take this guy, right? And we film him and we have him uncover a fake conspiracy and he goes deep down a rabbit hole and eventually gets to the point where like people like in groups start attacking him, but he has to like keep uncovering like these puzzles. He has to keep
People don't
like
even start
uncovering these.
attacking him, but like we actually get people to follow him and like start to run up to him, so he just runs away.
Yeah, and try to like
They don't ever have to
sabotage
actually
his
attack him.
work. Well, they like try to sabotage his stuff. So like if he's
What?
solving a puzzle, maybe they'll
Oh yeah,
actively like break into his car. Like we give like we ask them to like sign a thing where we like pay for any damages or something like that that like might occur to like as a result of like individual
yeah.
situations. So like we break into his car, we break into his house, or we pay people to break into his house and his car, and then we like leave notes for him that like say that we're coming to get you, and like say that like such and such order is after you,
We're coming to
and
get
like
you with a heart at the end. It's confusing.
it's confusing. Yeah, exactly. We just send him in all kinds of different directions. And then he's left looking at the camera. He's like, "Oh, they sent me a heart." And he goes, "I wonder if that's the conspiracy organization's moniker is a heart." And then he starts following
Every
around hearts.
leave a bunch of notes in different rooms that have like no windows, and just have them say like I see you right now, or we see you right now. So he's just like, what?
But it's
From
but it's
where?
it's not like it's not about a camera. It's meant to like mislead him. It's actually a riddle about something in the room. So that he's looking for a camera, but it's actually just like an eye that's made out in the sticky notes. And that he's supposed to grab one like a certain sticky note, and that's like reveals like the back of like on the back of the sticky note. That that reveals the secret.
one one of the sticky notes has like one of those like strips that have like it, you ever open up a blunt pack and there's all of a sudden there's this like weird electronic strip in it.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You have one of those on one of the sticky notes.
And that reveals the secret to the next clue or how to get out of the room and also to the next clue. So that show I was talking about was a CBS reality show called Kid Nation, and it features children managing a western town. The show, which aired on CBS in 2007, was centered around 40 children aged 8 to 15 who were tasked with.
2007? That's not even that old to us.
No, but that's what I was saying. It was right around like Hurricane Katrina. I remember like the both those shows came out around that time because it was like a thing where they were trying to like pump out survival shows because like so many people were like displaced and shit in Hurricane Katrina. I'm pretty sure that was like
I
a
was
thing.
definitely checked out from survival shows around then.
Well, I watched them because like I said, my family was wicked into Survivor. So like specifically I would like be thrown into watching like a lot of these shows because my family wanted to watch like survivor related shows. So I would like catch these like little hidden gems. But I'm pretty sure that there was like lawsuits on this show. Like I'm pretty sure this show like was crazy.
But the crew of that show let too much happen.
Yeah, we can look into that because this is list of Kid Nation participants, so maybe some of them spoke out about it. But it was centered around 40 children aged 8 to 15 who are tasked with creating a
40?
40.
It's a reality show. There's 40 kids you have to follow.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. Like there was like at one point I'm pretty sure there was like a burning a burning bonfire out in the town center that the kids like all tried to like put out, but it was actually like meant to like signal them or something like that. It was a crazy show, but they all like went crazy, like
Kids were
Lord of the.
just like kids were pretty inexpensive to these Hollywood people, weren't they? They were like,
Kids were pretty inexpensive.
throw fucking 40 of them in this town. Yeah, fuck it.
Oh my god, throw fucking yeah. Let's get 40 kids and just have them fucking go Lord of the Flies on each other. People
We're
will
willing to
love
risk the
this.
lives of 40 children for this CBS show.
Literally, like any one of these places, like they could have burned down while they were sleeping in it and just killed all of them by accident. Like any number of really fucked up, crazy scenarios could have happened while this show was airing. They were tasked with creating a functioning society and government in a ghost town named Bonanza Town.
Overman.
I know. Well, that's what was funny about it is they were supposed to like actually like create like a functioning like society out of this whole thing.
Did
In the
anyone
show,
at any point go like, all right, who's going to be in charge? Did anybody say that ever once?
oh, 100%. They actually like I'm pretty sure they like set it up so like people had to decide like democratically, but I could be wrong. All right, so you know what's funny? It says in 2020 the series generated a renewed interest with mixed reviews as many YouTubers independently reviewed, discussed, and commented on each of the 13 original episodes. It has since become a cult classic. That's funny because around 2020 is when I remembered it and was like this. I feel like this was a real show in my childhood. So maybe I saw like a random clip of it or something like that around that time, and I was like I remember this. The show featuring 40 children and adolescents aged 8 to 15 was filmed on location at the Bonanza Creek Movie
8
Ranch.
to 15?
Yeah, 8 to 15. A privately
There's
that
no
is
rhyme
kind
or
of a
reason
weird.
to this. They're just throwing whatever
The
kids they can get into this fucking town. What are they doing?
15-year-olds don't get along with 8-year-olds. That's like, they're just gonna like bully them and shit. Was filmed on location Bonanza Creek Movie Ranch. That's pretty cool. A privately owned town built on the ruins of Bonanza City, New Mexico, 13 miles south of Santa Fe. The show stresses the difficulty in creating a viable society. While each child received $5,000 for their involvement, gold stars valued at $20,000 and $50,000 rewarded to select outstanding participants as decided by the elected town council. So that's the thing. They had like an elected town council that they like basically had decide like they had all these kids the basically like the coolest kids they had like as the town council and would decide on all this shit that like goes down in this whole town. And it really was just like all the kids that were like either the most articulate or the most like cool from what I remember. Speaking before an audience of television reviewers, producer Tom Foreman acknowledged that Kid Nation would inevitably share some elements with William Golding's novel Lord of the Flies, which depicted plane-wrecked children without adult supervision. Adults were present off-camera during production, including cameramen, producers, a medic, and a child psychologist. That's hilarious. Well, that makes total sense though, like, cause like these kids are probably dealing with some fucked up, crazy shit. Although all interacted with the children as little as possible. That was added in at the end. Participants also missed a month of school, but Foreman suggested that such real-world tasks, such as preparing a group breakfast, doing physical chores like fetching water, and making group decisions, constituted an educational experience in their own right. Foreman said that all participants were cleared by a team of psychologists, and any child could choose to go home during any of the regular town meetings, which 3 did. That's crazy. Oh yeah, this is the one that I remember the most. There was an episode where they were all trying to like vote in like what they wanted for like the town, like as like a like just something to do, just like to have like a good time for the rest of the season. and they all voted in like a town arcade. And I remember as a kid being like, hell yeah. Town arcade, let's fucking go.
About damn time.
Yeah, literally. I remember thinking the whole show being like, yeah, finally an arcade. These kids get to have
these
some real fun.
Yeah, these kids have been working hard. It's about damn time they get to let loose, chill, get along. There were no problems in that arcade.
There were no problems in that arcade. I actually think there was a problem in the arcade, to be honest with you. I think they trashed the arcade immediately.
These poor kids are just trying to have fun.
Let's see. Bonanza City deals with its first crisis as temperatures plunge and water supply freezes. As the town debates whether or not to kill chickens for protein, a group of kids
It's children?
protest. Yeah, a group of kids protest by locking the chickens and themselves in the coop, but they kill 2 chickens. The town council find themselves in a tense stalemate as they debate between 2 possible recipients for the gold star. This show is fucking crazy.
Yeah. If there had to have been like some other option that they weren't looking at, because they're all like, "Yeah, I want to eat those."
Guess what? Guess what episode that was?
Episode 3.
Episode 2.
Oh my god. They
Episode
pushed that too fast.
Yeah, that came on a little too strong. Yeah, that was way too quick.
I think that was Dave. That's way too quick.
That was day 5 to 7. It actually shows like the days on here. Days 5 to 7. Days 1 to 4. 40 kids from across America arrive in Bonanza City for 40 days and are immediately struck by the lack of comforts in their new home. Friendships emerge and teamwork ensues. Issues arise and the first town council convenes. The districts had 1 hour to fill 3 large bottles with their own district-colored water by carrying oil gushers to certain sprouts on the ground. All 4 teams completed the task in the allotted time. The town council chose 7 more outhouses over an old-fashioned television. That's pretty smart, honestly, that they chose 7 outhouses over an old-fashioned television.
Hell yeah. Nobody has to wait to go.
Yeah, literally. So days 8 to 10, prosperity leads to trouble when the kids spend their newly earned buffalo nickels on sweets and party the night away. Unable to easily awake for work the next morning, the council institutes a little law and order when they set a town curfew to curb the kids partying. That's funny. They immediately go into like authoritarianism.
Wait, who's in charge? Who made that decision?
It was the town council, dude. That's
Who's
like
voted for town council?
the town council is like a group of like a mixture of like smart and popular kids, from what I remember.
And they were all like, "Yeah, we're having too much fun. We need to wake up early to go to work." Immediately, they should have all been like, "We did not elect you for this."
We did not elect you for this.
Immediately, we're like, "Yeah, you guys are center. We're on the left."
So this episode is called Bless Us and Keep Us Safe. Days 11 to 13. Religious and political strife come to Bonanza City. Oh God. When the council dictates that all of the kids attend a religious group service, when no one apart from the council leaders turns up to the service, the council leaders are left disappointed. As kids of different faiths bicker with each other, it seems as though the town might fracture until Morgan unites the arguing groups by holding a relaxed town bonfire where kids of different faiths bond together in common prayer. That's wild.
Yeah, that's not like that's what kind of church is that called? Where you just it's pretty open to most religions. Like they don't even call it that. They're like, we're all just gonna talk in a way that anybody can feel included.
That's wild that a kid had that idea to like bring everyone together in that way. That's crazy. That's so smart. Viva la Revolution, days 14 to 16.
That's what I'm talking about. Here we go.
It's time for Bonanza City to hold its first town council elections. Mike and Taylor struggle with the political process as eager kids vie for their council seats. When political mudslinging escalates as Markel rips Taylor's campaign posters in half, young Leela winds up in tears, and it's Greg that comforts her. The kids had 30 minutes to find 7 pictures of U.S. presidents and put them in chronological order. One at a time, they would race into a field of piñatas and break one open to see if there was a picture inside. If they found one, they would race back to give it to their council leader. If not, and another person in the district would repeat the process. After 7 pictures found and put in order, the council leaders had to run up to a bell and ring it. The green team finished a split second before the yellow team, but they had their pictures in the wrong order. This allowed the yellow team to become the upper class for the second time. That's hilarious. That's hilarious that that's how they designate the people that are winning in the show. They're like, yeah, you're a part of the upper class because you're winning right now. As a reward, the town council
Big
chose
revealing.
2. Yeah, right? Right? Laurel's green team managed to come in second for the first time. As a reward, the town council chose toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, and floss over a party that would have included ribs, chicken, hamburgers, and hot dogs. I would have chose the ribs, chicken, hamburgers, and hot dogs. I mean, toothbrush, toothpaste, all that's, it's important, but you're going to get that when you get like 50 G's off this thing, You're going to get all the toothbrushes and toothpaste you need. Enjoy the hamburgers and hot dogs while you can. While many of the kids were upset with this choice, obviously, the council realized the toothbrushes were something they all needed, especially the kids with braces. Well, that makes sense. I didn't think about the kids with the braces. Each district had an opportunity to choose one member to run against their existing council leader. Everyone was allowed to vote only for their own district. Green District had Laurel, who was unopposed. Even though many of the Green have great leadership skills, no one was unhappy with the way Laurel had been running their district. Still, she was somewhat surprised when she found out no one would be running against her. Blue District. Anjay defeated Olivia. Olivia was defeated, earning only her own vote. A vote from her sister, Mallory, and 1 vote from Gianna, another district member.
Wait, there's siblings there too?
That's what I was just gonna say. That's fascinating that they allowed there to be siblings, because that creates like situations where people have to fend for their own. Ooh, that's crazy. Mike lost in a landslide defeat. He was the only. Oh, this is Red District. Guyland defeated Mike. And it's funny. Guyland had 9 votes, and he defeated Mike with 1 vote. Mike lost in a landslide defeat. He was the only one who voted for himself. That's hilarious. At first, while the votes were being
Was
read.
the other girl like that too?
Yeah. Yeah, well, hold on. Laurel was, or no, you talking about Olivia? Olivia,
Oh, no, her sister voted for her.
yeah, she got 3 votes. She got herself, sister, and Mallory. Oh, no, her sister Mallory, and 1 vote from Gianna, another district member. But this guy only voted for himself. At first, while the votes were being read, everyone was laughing in shocked disbelief. But then after he picked himself up and stepped down, the whole district tried to comfort him. That's crazy. I think I remember that actually happening. As there are 5... all right, so Zach defeated Taylor. Zach 5, Taylor 4. As there are 5 girls in the yellow district, Taylor was confident he had all their votes. It turns out Zach was able to persuade Randy to vote for him by suggesting that it might be best for everyone if someone else had a turn at being council leader. In addition, Markel takes down Taylor's campaign posters to sabotage the district's efforts to keep Taylor in office. Wow. That episode, a lot happened. Holy shit. Bonanza is Disgusting, days 17 to 19, episode 6. While the new town council struggles to find a solution for Bonanza City's growing trash problem. I remember this too. I feel like, yeah, I remember this like whole show. It's weird. I don't remember, I couldn't tell you like, or explain it all to you. But like reading these things was like, oh yeah, I remember the trash problem.
Coming back to you.
Yeah. They also have to deal with Taylor now that she's been voted out of power. DK continue. Oh, what happened to Taylor? DK continues to work hard to build a kid nation, but he's growing tired of all the petty squabbling and is seriously considering going home.
Wow. One kid's like, you know what? This is just childish.
Just childish. I can't take all this kid nation. Somebody said it.
Honestly, I need a coffee. I want to go.
I need a coffee. I need a coffee and a cigarette. This is too much, guys. Episode number 7, The Root of All Evil, days 20 to 22. Life is hard and life is hard in Bonanza City, but a handful of candy or a root beer in the saloon is sure to brighten a young pioneer's day. But Buffalo nickels are scarce to come by, and the kids are forced to come up with creative ways to earn a little cash, leading to conflict as they compete for customers. When the council members discover treasure while exploring a nearby mine, will the unexpected windfall create a divide between the haves and have-nots? That's amazing. Starved for Entertainment, episode number 8. The all-work and no-play pioneer lifestyle is making the town a gloomy place as Bonanza's inhabitants become ever more starved for entertainment. Thoughts increasingly turn toward home. The town council hatches a plan to brighten spirits, a town talent show giving the pioneers the chance to show off their talents in front of their peers. That's hilarious. The kids were given an hour to chew numerous pieces of gum dispensed from nearby gumball machines. Finished pieces were given to the council leaders who were to stick the colored gum on the appropriately marked areas of a large picture. This is what this is. This is the showdown, which was a just like the general scenario for the town where they had to like the game of the episode. However, the O team could not complete their picture in the required amount of time, so the town was not given a reward that would have included a choice of either buckets of colored paint that would be used to liven up the dreary colors of Bonanza City, or a citywide block party for the general entertainment of the town. Aw, that sucks. Number 9, not even close to fair, days 26 to 28. Resentment over the apparent inequality in the strength of each district is brewing as the Green District suggests it should be renamed the Gold District after earning half the gold stars. Guyland, that's hilarious. Yo, they're just like, yo, we're better than you and we know it. We're going to just rename our district. That's so crazy. Guyland learns the hard lesson of thinking before speaking when he says his district is in need of intellectuals, making his infuriated district feel dumb. After the town prize isn't won at the showdown, Guyland accuses the other districts of being selfish, infuriating Sophia, Greg, and many others. A shocking announcement at the town hall meeting threatens explosive fireworks among several of the kids. What? Due to the Journal's suggestion this week, some of the districts decided to mix up their members. Blaine was moved from blue to yellow because Zach wanted some manpower on his team, and Anjay wanted to separate Greg and Blaine because bad things happen when they are together. Emily was traded to the blue team for Nathan because Guyland wanted someone who was smart and works hard, and Anjay wanted to prove he has some leadership skills by getting Emily to work harder since she'd start to become lazy recently. Laurel didn't want to change her district at all because she considers hers to be the closest knit group and didn't want to disturb it. Many in the town were upset over the changes, especially because they were seen as unnecessary and unfair. Episode number 10, days 29 to 31. I'm honestly surprised that this show went on for so long. This seems like torture for the kids. The town council creates a game meant to improve communication and build respect, but gets heat from the town for being disrespectful themselves. The town council responds by threatening to give the gold star to no one. Meanwhile, Greg and Blaine spy on the Green District, bashing them, and they are not pleased with what they hear. After a series of confrontations, Greg makes the town an offer. If more than half the town wants time to go home, he will pack up and leave Bonanza forever. The kids refused and wanted Greg to change. After hearing a word from Jonathan, Greg apologizes for his behavior and promises to change. Oh, good for Greg. I just like the recess part. Days 32 to 34. The town council issues Taylor an ultimatum. This, you know what? This episode is probably the one where they declare martial law on the town. The town council, yeah. The town council issues Taylor an ultimatum. Work or don't share in any town rewards and watch as the other kids reap the benefits. Taylor is still refusing to work after promising to start working harder in the last episode, as she remains adamant about not liking to be bossed around. Uh-oh. The town council swears to withhold any reward they may win from her, no matter what it is this time. However, Zach, her former opponent, becomes her unlikely motivator by threatening her with respect. Oh, sorry, by treating her with respect. I'm going to keep that part in. Meanwhile, the council appoints Sophia as the first town sheriff. Then everyone else in the town starts shrinking their duties also. They choose Sophia because she's responsible. So what does that tell you? What does that last part tell you about the end of the world when it happens?
What?
Says everyone in town starts shrinking their duties also. That means that if the world starts to end, everyone's just going to get lazy.
Yeah, I figured that.
No point in dealing with this shit. We're on the second to last episode. That's what that was, the second to last. Or
So
sorry, third to last. That's the thing that I like a lot that people don't do enough of, is stories that center on the end of the world, not when the world ends. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, there's not enough stories about the world right before it ends, and there's too many stories about
Interstellar.
the world. Yeah, I guess that counts, but I mean, like, yeah, Interstellar I think fits in what I'm talking about, but it doesn't fit in the way that I want. Like, Interstellar for me is kind of boring. I want more of like a cyberpunk dystopia kind of movie. Like Blade Runner I think fits more so what I'm talking about. Like it's at a time where like you could see this society not going too much further. Maybe it'll survive, but it'll be incredibly like shitty and harsh if it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like I feel like you could make a movie centered, or even, you know what's a good example of this kind of thing is it's almost the opposite example now that I'm thinking about it, but Zombieland.
Yeah.
Zombieland is like after the apocalypse and like what's happening. Like, I like that too, that idea. Like post apocalypse, like everybody's just chilling and seeing what happens. But also like right before the apocalypse, I think is great too. All right, number 12. So it looks like there was no martial law in number 11, but we have 2 episodes left. Let's see if they get into
Hey, I have a
martial law.
question,
Yeah, what's up?
right? I guess I'll start my question with like an idea, right? Imagine
Mhm.
this, right? One of the kids gets thrown in. Do they? Well, actually, let me start my question with another question. Is there a prison? Is there a jailhouse in this old west town? There should be, right?
I'm pretty sure there is. I think that's part of the thing. I'm surprised they haven't talked about that.
So, like, what's going on with that? Because I have an idea, right? What if like there's a kid, right, and he's in prison, so they give him his own special mission, right? But this is like way deep down the line. They give him his own special mission to get out. They've had him locked up for like 3 episodes, which is like 9 days, and the crew slips him a cake. Like they get him a cake as a they're like, kid, you have to give him this cake because it's his birthday. They lie to the kids, and tell them it's his birthday. And they're like, hey, yeah, apparently it's your birthday and this is your cake. Here you go. And the kids just give
Yeah.
it to him.
The kid's
And
like,
then
it's not
inside,
my birthday. Shut up, kid. Just
uh,
take the cake.
and then the obviously like the cake has a file in it, right? And he has to find it. And this is like a classic scenario. So like even the kids kind of know what's going to happen. Like, oh, he's going to get out. Oh, what's going to be in the cake? Oh, you better not try to get out with anything in the cake. And then he's looking for it. He's like, let me get this thing so let me get this file or whatever it is that's usually the cake. And he goes in and he reaches in and he sees a file, but there's something else. And he reaches in and it's a gun, fully loaded.
That's a good idea. You know what I bet they would have done, and that's a. It's not even a question. That's like I guess just a question
What
was
if
the jail.
the question is what if
What if he got that gun?
they did that?
That would be a
How
very
entertaining would that
great.
be?
That would be probably one of the most craziest moments in television history. And I mean that
Finds the
earnestly.
frosting covered gun. Just
Yeah.
like licking the frosting off of it to clean it off. Like, what is this?
Jesus Christ, I wasn't thinking about that. That's fucking crazy. Now, what if they took that exact scenario, but no gun, but they had a kid in like jail, and what if say they sent a cake to the district that kid's in jail and like what if the producers sent the cake to the district and said this is for Tommy, let's say his name is, and they're like for Tommy on the note, and they send this district a cake to give to Tommy. Do you think that what do you think would happen then? And the cake has a file in it.
That's what I'm
Do you
saying.
think
I think that like
I don't think that
if they
cake would
didn't
make it to
if they
Tommy.
didn't if they didn't tell the kids that they had to give it to them, you know what I mean? If they didn't tell the kids they had to, then they wouldn't, obviously.
Well, yeah. Well,
In
what
this
if it
scenario,
just
they'd be
said?
like, "No, guys, you have to. This is the next part. He's gonna
Well, what?
like
Yeah. What if
you
it
need to get
just
this
said
cake. It's
for
his birthday
Tommy?
also." What?
Yeah. What if it just said for Tommy?
This is for Tom. Not even-
I bet you one of the kids would look at him and be like, "Well, it's probably for Tommy when he gets out, so let's just hold on to it for him." And then they just eventually eat it, find the file, and realize, "Oh, this was for Tommy to break out."
They go back to check on Tommy. He's dead. They forgot.
They forgot to give him the cake, so he's starved. They just find him; he's all purple and shit. The let's read this next episode. Episode number 12. The town council goes on an expedition beyond Bonanza City and meets with Native Americans whose wisdom changed how the council
Wait,
approached giving the
I'm
gold
sorry.
star.
Hold on.
This is
I
getting
had another
crazy.
great idea.
This is
I got another
crazy.
great idea. I got a great idea.
Yeah, what is it?
What if they start slipping kids into the show without telling them? Like just like start like sneaking kids into the town and just have the kids kind of like just like blend in like they've been there the whole time. Just like don't just get along with them. Just kind of show up. Don't tell anybody where you came from. Just tell them you've been here the whole time. And then like the whole time having to deal with like illegal aliens.
The whole time having
The-
to deal with
the kids
illegal aliens.
They're like using the resources. The kids are like trying to take up the jobs.
That would be like the post 2007 version. That would be like the 2010s version of this show. They introduce illegal aliens to the whole scenario. That's
What do you think the
honestly
different districts
actually.
of that show would handle? Like, how do you think they would handle it? Each district.
Well, they would go authoritarian. They would probably make it so like all like of the kids had to like mark themselves in some kind of booklet or something like that, and had to identify or like had to list themselves, and they would probably make it so they had to organize more.
Every kid who belongs here, we're all gonna cut our hands. And if you don't have the scar, you're not one of us.
Dude, imagine that they all burn themselves in like unison. The producer's like, cut it. And then one of the producers like, no, leave it. Don't touch them. Let them do this.
The
We'll
other
suffer
person
the
before he turns his head like, why do you think we made this show?
Yeah, this is all that it's about. We need this. This is the human and kid experience. This is Kid Nation.
think that one guy thought he had a dud of a show until that happened. He was like, I thought none of them had it in them.
Episode number 12. This episode sounds crazy. The town council goes on an expedition beyond Bonanza City and meets with Native Americans, whose wisdom changed how the council approached giving the gold star. They all take peyote with the Native Americans and smoke the peace pipe around the fire. See. Sheriff Sophia is left in charge of Bonanza City. Uh-oh, this is where martial law comes in. While the council was away to make sure everyone does their jobs before being allowed inside the arcade. With only that, see? He's already stepping into authoritarian. With only a few days left, everyone realizes it's not going to be easy saying goodbye to their Bonanza City family, and they make a vow to make the most of the rest of their time there by creating martial law. No, I'm just kidding. Episode number 13. We've all decided to go mad. Here we go. Here we go. Series finale. The kids wake up to see the job board burnt down and destroyed. This is what I was talking about. This is the thing. The town then gathered around the job board with the show's host, who burned the journal after Mallory suggested it, and pioneers unanimously agreed after that many of the kids go chaotic, ignoring the protests from other kids. After raiding the town's dry goods store, the pioneers come together as a group and clean up their mistakes. When Emily takes her anger out on the Yellow District girls for not letting her sleep with them in their bunk. The fuck? When Emily takes her anger out... Oh, okay. When Emily takes her anger out on the Yellow District girls for not letting her sleep with them in their bunk. Makes sense, kid shit. Meagle. What the fuck kind of name is Meagle? Meagle? Meagle steps in as an unlikely hero to calm Emily down after the showdown.
Is it Miguel?
Migle.
Oh, Miguel.
Meagle. Meagle steps in as an unlikely hero to calm down Emily. Unlikely hero to calm Emily down. Calm down, Emily. Get a hold of yourself. Starts smacking her. He goes, get a hold of yourself, Emily. Everyone's like, who the hell are you? And he goes, I'm Meagle. I've been here the whole time, guys. Come on. After the giving of three $50,000, equivalent to $76,000 in 2024, the pioneers say their goodbyes and leaving the town they built forever. Wow. Not as martial law as I thought, but that was still fun. Look at that. Meagle. This is 50,000 equivalent to 76,000 2024. This is who got the gold star. Meagle. The council recognized Meagle as the most improved Bonanza citizen. Yo! My boy Meagle got improved. That's hilarious. Everyone's just like, who the fuck's Meagle? Then he calms Emily down. They're like, all right, we got to give Meagle the gold star. He wins. Morgan also got it, and Sophia got it. So we got Meagle, my boy, and then Morgan and Sophia. So there we go. That was pretty good. That was Kid Nation. Now, if you could change anything, and add to that, besides the illegal immigration aspect, what would you do?
I would give them paintball.
That's or airsoft guns.
Yeah, well, with the airsoft, you can lie and say you didn't get hit, and only the person who shot you really knows.
Oh, that's a good idea. So that way there's there could be like with paintball, people would have to like genuinely like cover shit up. Like murder
They'd be
scenes.
like, oh shit, I have paint on me.
Yeah, literally. I've been caught red-handed. That's a good idea, actually. Holy shit. I feel like that would be tough, though, because, like, what if somebody gets shot in the face?
You think they care about these kids?
You think they get? Yeah, they're making them. They're sacrificing the chickens and having them go take spiritual journeys with Native Americans. So you got a point there.
There's nothing wrong with that second part.
There's nothing. I mean, technically, eating, killing a chicken and eating it, I guess, isn't, that's survival at that point. But still,
I just don't think you should trust kids to kill a chicken and prepare it to eat it and not get like sick off handling
yeah,
Roger.
well, 100%. But I also think like the idea of showing these kids like all these different adult scenarios is just like setting them up for like a really weird childhood. But I guess you could say that about like any show that like centers on kids like this. I'm surprised there were no like controversies with this. Time magazine James Panowitz named it one of the top 10 new TV series of 2007, ranking it as number 10. Look at that.
What else came out in 2007?
Well, hold on.
Okay, what else came out in 2007?
Dude, treatment of children and broader legal implications. This is where we all wanted to go. Kid Nation raised questions about the appropriate minimum age of participants in reality shows. As with most other reality shows, the children were signed on contracts requiring them to be available for filming for 24 hours a day through the 40-day filming period. The Federal Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 limits the number of hours the children can work in a day, but has exemptions for film and television production. This leaves states to regulate those industries.
What did the film industry pay to get them to allow them to do that?
I don't know, dude. Probably a lot. I don't know.
Probably
Yeah.
them and kids.
Well, they probably maybe they probably lobbied hard at that time to get, because kids are like the one thing that you can have them like work like act all day, and it's like, or I should say, acting is like the one thing that you can. Excuse me. Acting is the one thing that you can have a kid like kind of do all day, and it's not going to be like too detrimental on them physically. So I get why they would have that clause, but at the same time, it's pretty emotional.
There's other things, like there's other things that you could argue are like that.
Yeah, well, 100%. But this leaves states to regulate those industries. At the time of filming, New Mexico had passed a law to limit children's participation in film and television productions to 9 hours a day, while Kid Nation was filming, but it did not come into enforcement until a month after filming completed. Ah, those tricky bastards. However, New Mexico had other general child labor provisions that limited children under 14 to a maximum number of hours per week or day unless previously cleared with the state, which CBS had not appeared to have obtained. Adults were on site with the children, but the nature of how the adults supervised the children made it appear that children were unlawfully engaged in labor under the New Mexico law, according to the state. The producers challenged these claims by declaring the set a summer camp rather than a place of employment. This was further questioned by the state, as there are additional rules related to camp operations set by the state that were not followed by production. The ostensible loopholes production had claimed have since been closed. Health issues were also raised. Parents were required to sign a 22-page waiver that disavowed any responsibility on CBS or production for harm from any medical care given to the children.
That's just insane that they're allowed to do that.
Yeah, literally. They're basically
Just
signing
trying
their
to weigh the
lives away.
safety of their children.
Yeah. Foreman, 10 years after the show's airing, stated that the children were never in any real danger with the amount of adult supervision present, but that the length and terms of the waiver were meant to try to cover all the possible ways they believe the injury could possibly befall the children during production at that location. Like, say, giving a kid in a jail cell a loaded gun. After 11-year-old Devad Miles was burned when grease splattered onto her face while cooking a meal, her mother Janice Miles filed a complaint in June calling for an investigation into abusive acts to minors and possible violations of child labor laws. The claim was investigated by Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, which found no criminal wrongdoing on the part of the production company. Other investigative efforts by the state of New Mexico into the Kid Nation production were later dropped. The state's Attorney General's office cited the lack of formal complaint or request for inquiry from any state agency. The state's Department of Workforce Solutions dropped its charge that the producers had denied inspectors access to the set and said it had no plans to investigate. The Kid Nation production also raised questions about whether reality show participants are more likely subjects in a documentary or working actors. The latter are covered by union rules that govern everything from working hours to compensation. This debate over participant status could be seen in an American Federation of Television and Radio Artists investigation over whether its AFTRA National Code of Fair Practices for Network Television Broadcasting was violated. The investigation went forward even though on the reality shows the network code generally covers professional performers, but not the participants. Some parents on hand for the final day of filming accused the producers of feeding the children lines, recasting dialogue and repeating scenes, all of which suggested the children functioned as actors. Producer Tom Foreman said that the parents were observing routine pickups for scenes that might have been missed because of the technical difficulties. CBS defended the production's conduct as both legal and ethical, including the response to minor injuries on the set. The network characterized some early allegations as irresponsible, exaggerated, or false. As the children that participated became adults, they began to discuss the show's events in various media outlets with stories of various praise and concern of the show's production. One of the first such was from Michael, who offered a Reddit Ask Me Anything in 2014, noting that the show had set out to try to fill various stereotypes with casting. The AV Club spoke to several of the participants in 2020, including Laurel, Anjay, and Olivia, confirming some of the stories, and that much of the show, as presented on television, was more dramatized than actually occurred, setting up certain children like Olivia as a stock villain, despite this not being the case behind the cameras. There had been a highly publicized story about one child drinking bleach. Anjay explained in this report that this had been a result of a bottle of bleach being mistaken for a bottle of seltzer water that they had for flavoring drinks in the town store. But medical staff were immediately to treat the affected child, who was returned to set shortly afterward. Wow, that's crazy. Anjay stated that there were over 200 adults near the set at any time. While he did not consider the show in any way abusive, he did state that it was definitely a lot more exploitative than I remember it being back then. On watching it as an adult, YouTuber John Tron interviewed Jimmy, the first child to leave his show in 2020. Jimmy criticized the harsh conditions that the production crew placed on the children, such as making them cook their own food and wash their own dishes, the poor sanitary conditions, one outhouse for 40 kids and no showers until the first showdown, and the poor sleeping conditions. He also confirmed that on two separate occasions, ambulances were called because one child accidentally consumed bleach from an improperly rinsed container, and the aforementioned Devad Miles burnt her face with grease while cooking. Foreman has stated that he would like to return to Kid Nation, not so much to produce a sequel, given the amount of difficulty it would take to produce a work, but more as Where Are They Now type program to follow where the cast has since become as adults. I think that would be cool. Honestly, that was pretty interesting. Yeah. So, Kid Nation, what a amazing show. Can't believe it exists. Any final thoughts on Kid Nation?
Kid Nation is a fever dream, like you said.
Just like I said.
That didn't happen, dude.
That didn't happen. Just like I said.